Then we come to the 11th Amendment Act, which was again passed in the 1961. So here what happened was there was a change in the procedure for election of vice president by providing an electoral college instead of a joint meeting of the two houses of parliament. Extremely important. So if we know, then president is obviously the head of the state. Then you have vice president, right? So vice president in case of India is also the deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha. Is also, sorry, not deputy, is also the chairman of Rajya Sabha. And you have to write in the comment box that who is the current chairman of Rajya Sabha. Okay, he has been in very news also currently because he's managing the rifts in the Rajya Sabha that is happening. So you need to mention that. And now, since we're talking about vice president, so what happened was earlier, if you had to elect a vice president, then there was just a joint meeting of the two houses required. But then the procedure got changed in 11th Amendment Act, which is valid even till today. What happens is there is an electoral college in which only parliament is participating. While in president's election, you will find parliament and state legislatures both are participating. But in the case of vice president, only parliament is participating, and both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha take part in it. And then through this electoral college, finally the elections to the vice president happen. And how are these elections happening? Through single transferable vote, proportional presentation, and secret balloting? No, it is the open ballot. Okay, but when the case of president, it is secret ballot. Okay, then what is the second point that got introduced? It was that it provided that the election of the president or vice president, they cannot be challenged on the ground of any vacancy in the appropriate electoral college. Extremely important. So what was happening? Suppose if there are elections to the post of president has to be conducted. Okay, then obviously only the elected members of the parliament are taking part in it. Elected members of the state legislative assemblies are taking part in it. है ना? And then you will find what is happening. Suppose if the certain members of the parliament are absent, or there is any vacancy, okay, in this particular electoral college, like the seats were suppose 560, only 550 got filled. So then you cannot say, or you cannot challenge the election of president saying that 10 electoral seats were empty, or the electoral college collage had the vacancy. Then it cannot be challenged. And same was done in the case of vice presidential elections as well. Okay. Then we move on to the 12th Amendment Act, which was passed in 1962. Okay, so through this act, as I mentioned, there will be territories which will be now incorporated into India. So you will find Goa and Daman and Diu, both of them are Portuguese territories which are incorporated within the Indian Union. Okay, then there is 13th Amendment Act of 1962, extremely important because in 1963, Nagaland was given a statehood. Okay. So why it happened? Because in 1962, via Amendment Act, the status was given to the state of Nagaland. Like status of state was given to Nagaland, and there were special provisions made for it, which you can find in which article and which part of the constitution, that you need to mention in the comment box. Because you already know that in India, we have certain special provisions for certain states. For example, Karnataka, for example, Nagaland, for example, Sikkim, for example, Assam. So where are these provisions mentioned? Mentioned in the comment box below. Then let's come to the 14th Amendment Act, which was passed in the 1962. So here what we do is we actually incorporate a French territory, the earlier French territory of Puducherry, into the Indian Union. Okay, and that is why if somebody asks you where is mini France in India located, is actually Puducherry. There you will also find a lot of French bakeries. Okay, it's a very beautiful place. Then let's go to the second part. And what did it say? It said that it provided for the creation of legislatures and council of ministers for the union territories of Himachal Pradesh, Manipur, Tripura, Goa, Daman and Diu and Pondicherry or Puducherry. Okay. Then let's move on to the 15th Amendment Act of 1963. Here a lot of changes were done, and you can say it is little important also. So the first part being that it enabled the High Court that they can also issue writs to any person or authority even outside its territorial jurisdiction if the cause of action arise within its territorial limits. Extremely important. What is it telling you? It is telling you, see, we already know what are writs. Okay, so there are five kinds of writs present: habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari and quo warranto. Okay, and they can be issued by either Supreme Court or High Court. But Supreme Court can only issue writs with respect to fundamental rights, while High Court can issue writs even with respect to other legal rights also. Okay, but now with this Amendment Act of 1963, it is telling that, see what happens is, if suppose I'm talking about Rajasthan. Rajasthan's High Court is mentioned is present in Jodhpur. Okay. So if Jodhpur High Court is passing any writ, it is generally valid inside only the Rajasthan's territory because High Court has a jurisdiction over a state territory, right? But it is telling you that this if this High Court is issuing writ, okay, then these writs can be valid for even the person living in MP or an organization present in Maharashtra if the cause of action is related and if the cause of action is present inside Jodhpur and these particular bodies or organizations are actually related to this cause. Okay. Then second point it is that it has increased the retirement age of High Court judges from 60 to 62 years. Okay. And now if you see there has been a case of actually an increment in the age, retirement age from further 62 to like some like a greater number because of two reasons. A is there is a there has been an increase in the life expectancy. Okay, we have seen that India's life expectancy, the time of independence, might have been 29.5 years, but now it is around 67.5 years. So obviously there has been a substantial increase. So people are living much longer. So why let them retire at an earlier age if they can retire at a later age? Okay. Then secondly, it will also help in removing the vacancies which are present in the high courts. Okay, because of the absence of judges. So there will be more judges to solve more cases and thus justice will not be delayed and hence justice will not be denied. Okay. The third point being it provided for the appointment of retired judges to the high courts as acting judges of the same court. Okay. Then fourth, it provided for the compensatory allowance to judges who are transferred from one high court to another. Because if you are transferring judges from one high court to another, now you need to pay a compensatory allowance to those judges. Okay. Fifth being, it enabled the retired judges of a high court to act as a temporary judge of Supreme Court. Extremely important. And there also either to fill the quorum, either to basically reduce the burden of Supreme Court or in some matters of important matters. Okay. Then sixth being, it provided for the procedure for determining the age of Supreme Court and High Court judges. That how will you determine the age of Supreme Court and High Court judges. So it provided like a given elaborate procedure how to do that.